就和对标上的凤凰一样，浴火重生承载着我们舰队时的愿望，这团火焰要继续燃烧下去。
我们不会为遗憾找借口，不管走到哪一步，那就是自己的实力体现。这回我相信苏宁可以一飞冲天。
几个月前，谁能想到我们会站在这里？几天之后，谁又知道我们将走得多远？
如果我们能杀出重围，请不要诧异，因为那不是奇迹，而是实力。
这一次的征程比过去都更加艰难，如果能够突出重围，我们必定将迎来蜕变。
距离这一年的完美结局只剩下最后的2个月了。这个秋天，金色的雨要让你们再次看到。
相比春天的 RW， 我们又发生了一次蜕变。这个夏天不进决赛就等于失败。
1整年的付出浓缩在这一刻，宪政之治有死无生。
Hello and welcome to the 2018 Summer Playoffs. It's been a long time coming. 10 weeks of play and then an extra week of play on top of that before the teams finally made the playoff run. And it's the one right before Worlds, so every single point, every single match matters. Hello and welcome. My name is Paul. This is Clement. That's Raz. And you may tell that there's something a little bit wrong right here. That's because there is a bet to settle. Now, I've been handed the script. I haven't actually read this until now, but here it goes. Welcome, everyone, to the LPL 2018 playoffs. You'll notice we look a little bit different today. The reason for that is that we lost a bet. We chose to believe that LGD would make playoffs, and we believed in LGD as many before us have done, and like all those people, we have paid the price. We would like to publicly apologize to Suning Gaming for ever doubting their abilities. Congratulations on making playoffs. We love you, Suning Gaming, very much. We would also like to apologize to the other shoutcasters whom we doubted, and I will wear this wig in full acknowledgement of my shortcomings and fully embrace the mistakes I have made in the past. May these luscious locks, no really, these are super luscious locks, serve as a reminder for any future bets I partake in. Raz, you're up.
On behalf of myself, Clement, Pulse, I resign my superior analytical skills to the remaining shoutcasting team in Dom, Rusty, and Frostskiren. You are significantly better than I am at predicting. You are also significantly better looking and much more skilled in League of Legends than I am. I am no longer allowed to jungle in our Flex 5s. Frostskiren is the better jungler and AD carry.
Everyone, here is wearing one of my wigs. I have a very large collection. We are in no way making these statements forced. Yay.
Get this goddamn thing out of here. All right, let's go.
And with that out of the way, let's take a look at how the league have shaped up all the way through the last 10 weeks of play. So let's take a look at those championship points and see how we're doing from spring, because now moving into summer, there is a good chance for these teams that accumulated some of the points back in spring to actually make a run in the end.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a really long journey so far, and starting off, we're going to look at the big four, the guys that represented us at Rift Rivals so far. RNG on top with the potential for 100 points. They are still going to be looking for the championships. Rogue Warriors, EDG, and Invictus Gaming. These should be familiar household names.
And top 5 is what really matters. First, who takes that championship spot from summer, the second one who gets the championship points, and the 3 teams that go into the gauntlet run. And so for BLG and Snake, great. I mean, you had your run in Spring Split. You're now going to get overrun by the teams who are honestly right now in the first round now vying for that spot.
The thing to notice here is that they have 0 minimum points for Summer because they're not in playoffs. So even though BLG and Snake do have points, they have 0 chance of making it into the qualifier, and it's all about who is going to join the top 4.
Yeah, these 4 teams that we have in round 1 will be the teams that will be following through this one, but we need to take a look at who those are going to be. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket and also the schedule for the next coming days, because it's just going to be back-to-back games here in the LPL. I know a couple other regions have finished, but we certainly have not. So taking a look at those standings, right at the top, Rogue Warriors number 1, Invictus Gaming over number 1 in the East.
That's the big one, honestly. Rogue Warriors having a phenomenal split and landing themselves as semi-finals spot. And you already saw what the championship points look like. They took 3rd place last time around, so they're in a really good spot to find themselves in a championship position going to Worlds.
So here we go. So round 1 today, September 5th, will be Top versus Suning Gaming. Then tomorrow we'll have JD versus FPX. That's going to be in round 1 of our gauntlet. Keep in mind that the higher seeded teams coming in 3rd in their respective conferences will be having a 1-point advantage. So that's going to be over to TOP today and JD tomorrow. Then we'll be moving on to our quarterfinals, 7th and 8th of September, and then moving on finally against Rogue Warriors and Invictus Gaming will be the semifinals on the 9th and 10th. So back-to-back best of 5s.
Yeah, this all happens real quickly. So remember, once we complete the series today for TOP versus Suning Gaming, they have to prepare for the next series that comes up in 2 days. So the preparation has to be done in the regular season, going up against the next opponents.
Yeah, the big things to really look for is Rogue Warriors. If they make finals, then they are automatically guaranteed to go to Worlds. So it's a point fight for them. And I also want to congratulate Invictus Gaming on ending a 2nd split 18-1. Another historical run. We've never seen anyone so dominant throughout the entire year.
Yeah, but now they need to prove it in playoffs, because obviously that was the big problem coming in to the spring split, but now they've got a second shot at this one, and I feel like the excuses are definitely off the table now here for Summer. But we have a match here between TOP and Suning Gaming to get on with. So we're going to start off with team strengths, and we're going to start this one off with Suning Gaming. So talk to me, Clement, about how Suning Gaming are looking right now.
Well, Suning Gaming, they're very noteworthy for having the being the only team that gets the majority of their damage from their top laner. If there's one player you want to know Xiao. He's a top 3 top laner here in the LPL, and he does 28.3% damage share over there. He's a great split pusher, and he's also a good captain for the team. If you want to know how Suning is doing, just check out Xiao's stat line. The second thing is that they're the best pre-20 minute game team in the LPL. They're very high on their first tower rates. They have immense KDAs, and their strength really does come from the bottom lane 2v2 kills. Fury and Ryun, the Korean import duo, is the best duo in the LPL to take those 2v2 kills without jungle interference. And the third thing I want to notice about is the way they like to fight. They are lions. They're ambush predators. They like to jump out at you from the brushes. They don't take a lot of team fights. In fact, they're the 2nd lowest team to take team fights, but they get their kills through skirmishing and picking you off. And they have a lot of good picks to really utilize that. One of them is the Ahri. Fury has been playing this in the bot lane. He really is the only professional player that we know of to do so, and he's always willing to use his teleports to get in the fight. TF is also one of those unique picks coming out from Suning Gaming, from Angel. He's also the only player to take it out in the LPL so far, and the way he uses it is as utility. He snowballs that early game incredibly hard. He's looking for those one-on-one kills. The other picks that you have to notice are the Lissandra and the Shen, all of them having semi-globals, high mobility, and ability to pick off targets one by one.
They're a team that's very creative, compositionally that comes into it. And honestly, just the fact that their execution is so on point individually speaks to the fact that I know that we just released our all LPL team, and you will probably be surprised that all 4 of them, just excluding Angel because he is a new player coming into the squad, have found their spot on those rosters. And so if you ask any one of us, sure, they're a 4th place team seed-wise, but individually, talent-wise, they can match with the best.
Yeah, the talent's there, the coordination there as well in their early game plays, and then later on, they do start to struggle. Maybe that's where TOP can start to strike, because when we're looking at TOP right now, finishing at very high in their own respective standings, TOP had a cracker of a split, Raz.
A monumental split for them, because if you remember what happened in Spring Split, and the split before that, previously being known as Dan Gaming, the TOP has had some disastrous finishes trying to find an identity. And an identity that worked really well with them bringing on BSYY is team play, teamwork. Team fighting is a big point for them. So for me, the major hits for TOP is Number one,
It's gonna be a little hot.
is going to be their objective control, because the one person they rally behind so heavily is actually going to be XX here. Rift Herald percentage, Scuttle Crabs early on, Dragons taken, all of them the best. If you're thinking about TOP really early on, it's the fact that XX can set up for his lanes so easily. Some of the stats we'll be mentioning going on to the game is the fact that he's able to steal so many camps early on, and that he's able to just get so many successful ganks across. But once he bridges it all together, that's where that ride together strategy comes in. Moyu has been able to match the top of the top laners, surprisingly, because although last year wasn't a Moyu kind of year, 2018 has been exceptional for Moyu as a carry top laner that can somehow make the difference happen. One of the highest kill participations that he has as a top laner this split, and for team kill participation early at 20 minutes, the team works together really early on so they can find their team fight strides. So, two players that I actually look towards in terms of headstrong playmaking. To the left, Cat, and to the right, XX. Remember those names. You'll be hearing them throughout the series.
Yeah, they really have had a turnaround split, because even looking at spring, I know XX found the bench towards the end of the spring split,
Yes.
came back into summer, looks like an entirely different jungler. One of the best junglers now. You look at the bottom lane, Cat's aggression has been, let's say, tempered. He's still very aggressive, but he's still super fun to watch, but now he does it in a controlled manner. So now I'm going to ask you, Clement, how does Suning Gaming win this game? Now that we know the strengths of both teams, how are they going to do it?
Well, the first thing is they need a split-pushing top laner. It's incredibly important for Suning because they like to make picks and they need to spread the map open. Also, Xiao is the captain of the team, so if he's having a bad game, the chances are very high that the rest of his teammates are not going to be having good calls either. So getting him on something like a Gnar that can split push is very important. And I also think it's very important for TOP as well, because Moyu and Xiao, they're both Gnar mains and they don't play Gnar counter. So that's going to be one of those big ban pick points where we're going to have to go through.
Yeah, I think that's something that's for Suning Gaming that they should really work on, is the fact that their early games are so exceptional. They should try to really hone that in, because it is a clash of styles between both teams. That TOP time and again actually hand off the early game to the enemy teams. For a team that's placed third and was very likely to take second in the regular season, the fact that they're so behind early on in the game before first Baron comes up is actually disastrous. So that's something that I want to look towards. But if we're talking about just win conditions, clearly, as there is certainly hair in my mouth, is going to be...
It's a tough life, man.
The win condition for TOP is simply going to be in the early control as we go into pick and ban. XX has to be free, and he has to be amplifying the mid laners for this one. Korn has been so phenomenal for this team in the latter portions of the split. The stats that he's had in just the last 22 games that they had, in patch 8.14 and 15, he's been one of the top 5 mid laners. That's incredibly surprising to hear, because historically for Korn, he's been a player that's been great in the early game, but falls off like a brick later on. And I want to see that consistency throughout the game.
Korn has been an absolute monster in some of those games. I mean, like the Korn pop-off, I don't know if I've seen any bigger differences from like troughs to peaks out of any other player in the mid lane. You give this man talent, he will run away with it. Let's get into Champions League. TOP versus Suning Gaming. We're going to start off with a Swain, Alistair pick. On the opposite side will be Camille and Shen from Suning Gaming.
So really interesting right off the bat from TOP. They're taking away the heavy guns of Suning Gaming. Suning Gaming's early game strength relies around their bot lane kill lane, and that is Swain and Ahri. Now they're taking that away directly from Fury and taking away the combo between Swain and Shen.
And the fact that they're taking away the Tahm Kench away from Yoon. Yoon is one of the unsung players, heroes from Suning Gaming. Such good control if you tag him up with Fury. So I agree with you when you said that they were the best duo in the league. And then now that being whisked away from him, he's going up against Cat that is able to get his Alistar pick. Alistar, Gragas, Swain, TOP is not hiding away from what their strategy is.
Yeah. TOP, their strength is definitely in the 5v5 team fight, while you can see Suning, they're more about single target pickoff potential. Not a lot of AoE on their compositions, but strong ability to take people out on the map, cross map even.
Yeah, TOP picking up the Gragas here for themselves, finishing up their first rotation of picks. And Suning Gaming with a very early misfortune. So we've been seeing this a lot out of SMLZ recently, but another couple of marksmen have also been picking up alongside him. 52% win rate currently in the LPL, Raz.
The misfortune gives you a lot of lane pressure, is what you value here. And I understand from Fury, someone who's had quite a few mage picks that he's picked across the field. A good point is actually the Ahri pick that you mentioned earlier on. Might not want to go up against that, because if he's guessing that he's going up against a Swain Alistar, that's fairly beefy. So he wants to be able to scale for what his composition relies from, but he doesn't want to sack the early laning phase. So having a Misfortune really rely on is nice. I just want to see what Yoon picks up for himself.
Yeah, I definitely think the Misfortune is about going against the Swain. You do have a lot of early burst damage, and Swain is one of those champions that start out with such low amounts of armor. So I'm really happy to see Fury, who's a mage majority player, adapt on 8.16 and go into 80 carries.
Yeah, we just had that LeBlanc ban, the Yasuo, and an immediate Irelia pickup. Okay, let's finish off the bans here from TOP. It's going to be Gnar and Ornn.
So Gnar, the really important one, taking away from Suning Gaming, because Lies is mainly a tank-oriented player, so taking away a split pusher for him is incredibly important. Now, we do know there are a couple of tricks on Xiao Al. He's been noteworthy as a Jax player or as an Aatrox player, but can he actually bring it out against the Urgot? What does he have against the Urgot?
Alright, I was so sad I didn't get to cast Raise Urgot the other day, and I was like, man, why I have to be sick on this occasion? And TOP just, it's apparently just my birthday. They're going to lock in the Urgot right here into Suning Gaming.
I'm just so unhappy that the fact that the pick and ban's going by so quickly, because there really is so much to talk about.
Yeah.
The Irelia getting locked in, a takeaway from Korn, who's been exceptional in the later half of the split with that pick, so he has the ownership of going counter pick against it, decides to go to the Rise, which means that, hey, you know what, XX and Korn, a lot of gank pressure there. And then Suning Gaming holding on to their top lane pick for so long. I said that their top lane hasn't been picked just yet because the Shen, the Camille could go top lane, but we've seen our Shen go support so frequently. And with Yoon getting banned out a little bit here, it makes sense that he would want to pick it up really early on. So Shen already being slotted in for Yoon, and Xiao Al gets his Vladimir pick we haven't seen in so long, but the last time we have seen off him, he was an incredible player there.
All right, there's a lot to talk about in terms of the individual players, in terms of the individual matchups as well, but I want to take a focus here talking about the compositions, because we can talk all day, and I know we will in the early game about these matchups, but who are we favoring as we get out of champion selects?
I honestly do like TOP's composition a little bit more. I feel like the idea of Urgot is really sound. You want to take away map control from Suning Gaming, and that typically does come from the top lane. So that's a Xiao Al counter, and their 4-man is also, I would say, stronger, just overall. They're beefier, they have more opportunities to turn a 4v4 fight if they are grouped up together. So I like the composition from TOP.
Yeah, I think one of the big things we should look towards is the coaches just hold off, just waiting for each other. I don't think they've been in this venue for quite some time.
That's true, over in Beijing.
The Camille pick needs to really get going early. One of the biggest problems of Camille going into this composition, there's an Alistar, there's a Swain, and hell, there's an Urgot here. There's so much that stops her later on in the game because it's just way too beefy that it's essentially suicide for her to start a fight if she doesn't get an early lead for herself. So I want to see what we can get out of Hacker, because I know I talked up XX quite early on, but XX and Hacker have had what seems like both of them just striving to be top junglers in the league. Incredible growth between the both of them, and they're side to side, neck and neck in terms of talent. So this is a monumental set historically for both of them to see who comes out ahead.
Yeah, this set means a lot, and already coming into game 1 with a 1-point advantage going over to TOP, we're seeing a lot of spicy picks, a lot of curveballs come out, and it's almost throwing down the gauntlet in almost every single lane right here. It's like, all right, who's going to be better in lane? Who's going to be better as we approach the mid-game?
For Suning Gaming, they actually need to outplay with this composition. They can do a lot of surgical plays, but it does require a good setup and great timing. This is a draft that banks on the fact that they're individually better players.
All right, folks, let's do it. Let's get on to the Rift here in our very first game of the summer playoffs between Suning Gaming and TOP. All right, it's just turned out into a prison break right now. Everyone's just, it's complete chaos. But take a look at this Urgot on the top lane using the only good Urgot skin, the Crab God, of course, in the top lane.
Giant enemy Crab God. Wonderful.
And he
Absolutely
just has
disgusting.
so much sustain with that build. Look at the left side of the item. They're all going to go for Inspiration. The Time Warp Tonic and the Corrupting Potion is such a potent early game combination. There's no way you're going to push these guys out of lane unless the jungle comes.
And you know that they've been prepping up for this best of 5. One of the greatest strengths for TOP is honestly behind the veil. The SYY, the coaching staff that they were able to give themselves this team in the summer split has done wonders for the squad. And so what we see here, the composition, makes a lot of sense to hide in their early misgivings the early problems that they have in these games, they should be able to nullify Suning Gaming early, which is what I like about it. And you already mentioned the rune pages are essentially doing that. The amount of sustain that they get based off their corrupting potions, Time War Tonic, and then once the clock strikes 10, 3 stopwatches on the side of TOP that they can just defend themselves early on. So I'm liking what I see until the team fight starts.
And already we can see an early information advantage for TOP. The warding in the top side did catch out the leash coming in from Xiao L, so they do have a good idea where Camille could potentially be. That's what I love about TOP and the fact that you were talking about the coaching. They have the best level 1 strats in the LPL.
All right, yeah, just saw Gragas try and make his way into the top lane. There's the Time War Tonic you were just talking about there. Clement taking inspiration first on this Urgot, and actually not going for the Chrysalis and the Bone Placement, which you seem to see on everybody, but has been changed up a little bit recently. Hacker looking towards this mid lane gank from the bottom side here.
There's no cleanse.
Level 2 on this one, does manage to land the duet here, forces the flash out from Korn. He actually gets the damage down there from the tower shot, but great to find dance from Angel on the backside.
What I like from Hacker there is that he didn't use flash. That being said, if XX finds an angle here, he might use his own.
Yeah, could come in for the counter gang, but Angel is playing towards the bottom side here, so he should be okay.
Yeah, that's very smart. What's going to happen here is Korn's just going to find a good time to base. He just needs it. He won't be able to get the tier really early on, but Rises have been basing earlier than that. So they've been getting more bases off early, not holding on for the tier, especially in this kind of game where the early gank just came in too hot.
All right, I need to pick your brain, Mr. Top Lane Expert here, because we've seen Urgot into Vladimir before. Note that in this game, Vladimir was picked into the Urgot, but I know back when we saw a couple Urgots coming through, he was picked into the Vladimir, so you can execute the Vladimir with Fear Beyond Death before all his health gets back. I know it was very prominent in some of the minor leagues in Europe, actually, but then it just disappeared because Vladimir's win rate in that matchup was 73%. So everyone was just like, actually, this is just terrible.
Honestly, I feel like the Vladimir pick is just to balance out the damage profile coming in from Suning Gaming. If you look at the rest of the team, they're all physical damage dealers. So they want something that can split push and does AP damage. There are not a lot of options right there. I don't think Xiao thinks that this is a good matchup for him, but I think it's a necessity for his team.
And a scaling matchup, because to your point about the win rate, a lot of the problems that Urgot has is coming out of the laning phase. What is his role in team fights really? I think TOP understands that. They're trying to make the best out of it, as you can see from XX trying to get a lot of ganks off top side, or at least utilizing the pressure to invade a little bit early on, because once Vladimir gets out of the lane, the flank pressure, Urgot can't stop that. And Urgot's just going to be a sitting duck while Korn and Chocho takes the brunt of the damage. So that's the worry here if you're a TOP, is that you kind of do have to care about your early laning phase on the top side of the map, while Swain and Rise are just going to be fine.
And that just goes to the play style that these two teams are thinking about, because TOP in the early game, they just want to take it steady and scale into the team fights, while Suning Gaming are the ones that want to create hectic action early on. And what TOP's picks really do is they have a tremendous amount of sustain, they have tremendous amount of lane pressure, so it's really about Hacker. Can he actually find those early ganks to result in kills?
That's why I like the fact that he didn't even use his flash on the first gank. He knew that the first stun was going to be coming through from Angel, and the flash was going to be coming out anyways from Korn. Korn just has to play this lane incredibly more safe. In fact, you already see XX around the area. He needs to be, because it's an easy target for Hacker than just expend his flash and get the kill towards Korn. Here we go, though.
Yeah, he's going to jump over the wall here. He's playing into Gragas.
Oh, no.
Forces the fail flash into the wall, which means the Hacker can follow on this one, trying to desperately make it towards the blast cone. But Angel is here with first blood.
There are two ways you can think about it. Either he was trying to flash over the wall or flash outside of the hitbox on his body slam so he can get over the wall. Either way, he didn't succeed because he ended up dying. Yoon's under some threat.
Yeah, managed to knock him towards the tower and forces the flash into the bottom lane, so nice there for the 2 versus 2 of TOP, but that first blood going over to the Aurelia pick in the mid lane, something you said that would struggle later on into this game. Great flying start for this pick.
Yeah, and I really like how Hacker handled that situation. He actually evaded the vision coming out from the sweeper and then found the perfect angle to attack coming in from the Dragon Pit. Now, of course, we have to say XX right here, that was a mixed execution. He definitely wanted to get over the wall, and Angel expends his flash just to pick up the first blood as well.
And so that was damaging. We all knew what XX was trying to do to defend his mid lane, but now he's just got to worry about himself. That being said, he's already thinking about something cheeky. Good communication from TOP to understand that there is no ward in his second bush. It's going to make it a lot easier to get the gank across, but unfortunate that Misfortune is already basing.
Yeah, Yoon just wants to hold the wave right here, so unless they're planning on diving a Shen, then I think he should probably just back away.
Yep. Misfortune will miss a little bit of CS, but so far I actually give this laning phase over to TOP. If you think about Yoon Shen, there's River Shens, there's Global Shens, but Yoon Shen is the
Cat
lane
just takes
kill
a
Shen.
million tower shots, and Chocho's like, well, I guess I'll have to stop my recall, otherwise Alistair's gonna die.
That's why you can't be a hero when you're trying to push into the tower fully. You just got to bring in the extra member. We've already seen in the North American LCS, there were times where it's like, well, maybe the AD carry is going to try and push on his own while the support roams. No, that's not going to happen. You're going to get head pulverized. There's so much CC in the bottom lane in these metas with tanks coming back into it that you do need to come in as a unit to push it in fully so it doesn't freeze.
Yeah, one might say that Cat is an absolute unit, but sometimes he needs to calm down because he always is aggressive every single time, and eventually it's like the boy who cried wolf. People are going to figure out there is no one behind him.
I have a controversial opinion, but that was actually good for him. He didn't really spend much on it, and he got the Ignite from Mew. So when it's all said and done, he won that trade.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but then Chocho like had his recall start
all
twice
according to plan.
in the bottom lane. I know. We'll have to ask Chocho afterwards.
So he got the farm. It's okay. It's
all
good.
right, well, you're not wrong. Okay, so how are we doing? Korn's going to head over into Jungle, get his first blue buff of the game. The lanes are relatively even, apart from the fact that Aurelia has gotten significantly ahead in terms of farm, plus that first blood has accelerated towards the Sheen as well.
That was just the butterfly effect what happened in the jungle. Hacker getting the first kill, but also Hacker still having flash and threatening through mid lane. Right now, the mid lane jungle is just so unfortunate for XX.
Ooh, smite comes down. XX did manage to get the smite off, but Hacker, he's got Shen on top of him. Good cast, but escapes the sweep, but he's still going to die from this one. Hacker with another kill
And
onto
that
XX.
was such a good sidestep. He went forward just to dodge out on the casket, and it sent him forward. So there was nowhere for XX to actually go. I feel like XX had to leave that position as soon as he saw Hacker. There was no way that he could contest that with the Camille coming in and the Ryze missing in lane. That was just a weird play to stay there from XX.
We're getting some weird version of pay it forward now. So the one advantage that we got onto the jungle is just accelerated every other lane. It's starting to pay it forward towards the top lane. Lies is losing out in experience now in a lane that he needed to win. So, recognizing that there were 3 people top lane, he needs to back up. He lost the wave. He's losing experience. Coming back in, the fear only gets stronger that Hacker now is 1-0-1, and you have no vision on him.
The classic cat roam up into mid lane. I mean, Aurelia is very far pushed back to a tower right now. Ryze does have the push in that lane.
So watch those pings going down for Unsooning side. They have the question marks about approximately where Cat is.
Yeah, I believe that XX actually path to a ward right there, so that definitely gave up the ghost on that play.
There's no damage here to follow up, so you got to make it worthwhile.
I mean, Suning are very aware.
No, no!
He literally walks them. He's like, all right, we know exactly where they are and where they have been for the last 30 seconds.
And that's when we were talking about the pregame of headstrong playmakers. That was a great example of Cat and XX trying to find something when they were in a deficit. In the past, they found themselves in early deficits, and they were still able to come back into the game. But this is way early on. So they're feeling fairly desperate, even sacking their early laning phase in the bottom lane that's fairly been untouched. So you can see what Cat's been trying to do to get them back in.
I mean, we've been talking a lot about XX and actually talking them up after Spring Split coming into summer, but so far 0-2 hurts a lot for the top side of the map for certain. And now, as you said, Cat's trying to bail him out, but into the bottom lane. Korn actually moving down here. Fury, Yoon forces out the flash here, but still, great reactions coming out from Fury.
Yeah, great reactions, but an understanding of the situation. Aurelia was like, well, I know that my mid laner's not here, and there's a good idea that he's bottom lane because of how Chocho and Cat are positioning. You blow your flash, you come right back into the lane because, you know, the cooldown is still on there for Cat. So Korn loses experience in minions once again.
This is one of the good things about Suning Gaming. Even though they like to play fast, they're also one of the most measured early games. So they can take it to the folks like RNG, LGD, or Invictus.
Yeah, all in on the top side because he's got Hacker right here with
Dodge
the
south.
ultimatum. Flashes away though, so he's not going to follow through.
Yeah, but the worry here is that, you know, losing that much HP has to have eyes on mid lane. And with Ryze basing, He's lost so much control on the top side of the map. If I'm Suning Gaming, come back up top side, bring the Aurelia if possible, and try and set up for another dive.
This is a nightmare for Lies up top because Urgot, if you don't win lane, you have absolutely nothing. This is a win lane, push your lane, continue to push your lane type of pick. It operates very similar to a Darius. You're not really meant for the team fights. You have to stay in your own lane. And if this pick doesn't get that advantage, then the TOP composition kind of falls apart.
Yeah, Suning starting to get this early game advantage. TOP setting up for another cat play, this time top side of mid, but Aurelia happens to be walking away right now. Just unable to really find any purchase on these lanes for these early game ganks. Yuno pushing into the enemy jungle, gets the Scry's Bloom down. Probably look for a deep ward, yeah, right on top of red here.
So one thing to look forward to, Suning Gaming wants ways to blow this game right open. It's going to be around Xiao. If Xiao can get his tower open, or just find ways to head towards the bottom lane, all he needs is pressure in lane, then they're good. They have the play with bottom lane set up. You can already see hackers looking for it.
Repeat gank into the top side. Does have the Purge running, but with Yoon on top of him, there is no escape from this one. Yoon claims the kill.
And it's just, if you're playing Urgot, and I know you play it, Urgot, you just feel like a sitting duck. You know you're going to be pushing in. That's the only way you trade, and the only way you feel useful is if you trade in lane. So everybody in the world knew that was going to happen. XX was nowhere near you, so Lies is in an inevitable situation.
Yeah, yep, and Suning Gaming, they also back out on the bottom side as well. They should get the early turret trade if they do decide to go for it. Even though TOP does have more members on the bot side, I still don't think they win out on this.
Yeah, Rise actually decided at the last second to move back towards the mid lane as the wave is pushing here with Angel, so SNG will get the first tower of the game by a pretty hefty margin, actually.
They're already setting up for the second one, as you mentioned, with Fury now being in the mid lane, setting up for the next tower. So TOP cut with their pants down because they were trying to trade, now has to bring the members in the bottom side of the map to at least try something.
Yeah, so mid lane is cleared out here by Rise, and Herald has already been started off here by Suning Gaming. Urgot's back from death, and he's on towards the Herald area. Cat is pushing up, and it seems like TOP would like to contest this one.
Yeah, I like the fact that Suning Gaming recognizing that they're caught with their hands up, abandoning the situation a little bit, taking Scuttle Crabs so they have vision, but once they get close, low enough, they can try and contest. It's surprising that they're just completely giving this one away.
Yeah, they are thinking about the extra base coming in from TOP, so I think that's the main reason that they are giving this up. But I would say it was a bit of a mistake on Suning Gaming. They bit off a little bit more than they were willing to defend. And what I would do about this play was I would actually consider trying to wipe the wave from Fury. You do have the Misfortune ultimate bullet time to get that away, but he did decide to play it much safer and not try to delay the tempo push.
And remember, Fury has Comet, has quite a lot of damage underneath him. It's just your real control in this game. So if you're trying to find range control, it's off your ultimate, it's off your E. At this point, not having her there to defend the Rift Herald was a major detriment. So not being in the position meant that they just weren't confident in being able to contest for it.
Yep, so Rift Herald down. And first items starting to be picked up across the board right now. Top lane got the Black Cleaver. Also the Proto Belt is actually XS is going to instantly place down Shelly.
And this is a great window for TOP. All of their stopwatches are up and available, the 3 that we're referring to in the early game, and now they finally have some pressure here. It's on Suning Gaming to let the Rift Herald jump in, but don't try anything special.
Yeah, I guess a swing off as well. This tower is very low. TOP might be able to brute force this one. Looks like Hacker's not interested in defending. It's only Yoon and Fury on this wave. Going to be opening up with the bullet time. Cat steps forward, seeing if we can get some auto attacks off there from Chocho, but it will be at least another wave. So actually buy some time for Hacker to move back towards mid lane now.
So this is a pretty big CS lead going over to Suning Gaming, and I think the question right here is, where do they actually put Urgot on the map? There's 2 long lanes where he can get picked off surprisingly easily. So I think TOP, in a lot of senses, is kind of doing this grouping out of desperation. They don't really have the lane allocation to put the Urgot in.
There's no good answer for it. You just have to put him in the most defending matchup, which is going to be Aurelia. Aurelia is never going to be with the team at this point, where Vladimir, there's value there. That being said, caught off guard.
Oh, Fury by himself. Here comes Yuno from the bottom side and Hacker from the left. So he is well defended at the backside of that. Fury should be able to regen just a little bit, but I do like the look there from Cat.
It just goes to show that TOP still has a lot of pick potential still there. Rod of Ages 3 minutes in. 7 more minutes until it's fully stacked, and Chocho will be sitting sky high. So there's still a great win condition for TOP, the Gragas ultimate, the Rise snare, and of course, the passive that Swain has for himself is going to be great in coordination with the rest of them. So TOP has a lot of ways in terms of just picking people off around mid lane.
Yeah, indeed. And Suning Gaming, they also have the ability for them to go into the 1-3-1. As long as they can hide the Shen from plain view, people will always have to back off in their 1v1 situations.
I'm just surprised that they have Rise answering towards Aurelia. She's going to be doing that easily. But what you see here is now going to be Vladimir going up against the top lane here. Sure, Liz is going to be able to pick up quite a bit of CS and experience, but the worry is that it's just going to be Gragas, Swain, and Alistar holding down mid, and that's going to be fairly easy to make a play around.
Definitely, and I think the situation is actually going to worsen for TOP because Rise was still able to step up. Korn still had the item advantage, but now Angel has his Triforce complete. So that actually should swing it even heavier towards Suning's 1-3-1. They can now split push in the bottom side matchup as well.
Yeah, and again, Triforce actually completed here by Angel on top of that. Fury looking towards his first, now second item. Picked up the Phage actually, looks like it might be a Black Cleaver. Looking for those teamfight setups, but so far Suning has only picked up gold advantages.
One thing that I'm a little bit surprised about was Hacker going straight towards the Trinity Force instead of building towards his Guardian Angel early on. Allows for earlier fights, and it seems like with Suning Gaming's early focus in their composition, playing around dragons need to be something they want to get, with TOP getting the first one. TOP's been a team that's actually prioritized the second dragon, so you could very realistically see a 3-dragon team for TOP, so I would much rather see an earlier power spike coming out of Hacker.
But that's what I love about Hacker. He builds super offensively. Recently, on all of his Olafs, he goes either Guardian's Angel or with the Black Cleaver. He wants to do damage early, and I think it's because it fits the team style. They're not looking to play towards the later parts of the game. They're looking to get kills now.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Suning Gaming, as the game goes on, typically don't have the best of mid games. We already spoke about their team fights, and they definitely will get outshone by TOP in terms of who they are as a team, but also in terms of the compositions right here. So it makes sense that Suning Gaming want to be trying to open up and blow up the game right now.
That's why when it comes to Suning Gaming, it always comes down to who are they on the day? Because certainly we've seen some great team fights from them, coordination-wise, later on in the game. We've seen some great moments. We've also seen just poor moments that stick in our memory around Baron time. So throughout the season, they've been trying to really chip at that and become a consistent team around that so they can match up with the best of them. One of the biggest rivalries Suning Gaming has had is with JD Gaming, and JD's able to just resolve a good portion of their team fighting, which is why Suning Gaming end up losing to them quite frequently. So this could be a great Suning Gaming day. We'll have to find out. They're one game down, so that's where they really need to be challenged on that front.
Raz, I think you're going to be quite familiar with these two teams because they both have a Dignitas trait.
Oh, come on.
They have the lowest Baron control rates in our playoffs. That's #1 at the bottom of TOP and #2 for Suning. So neither of these teams have shown great idea about how to control that area. And if it does go down to a Baron fight, then that's where it could go really, really messy. I know our predictions were pretty much 5 games because of this.
Yeah, you know, a real fun stat that I just enjoy when it comes to TOP around their dragon percentage, or actually like the amount of dragons they've taken. That's important. The amount of Barons they've taken and dragons taken is actually rather high. So like you're looking at that stat like, great, that's great for them, that's where they're focused on. But then the percentage where it's like, yeah, but the enemy team's also taking a lot of dragons and barons, well, that shows how the game quality is. So TOP, a team that's actually been second in terms of how many barons they've lost, stolen away from them, they can get messy around that time. So while their team fighting has got them to the 3rd place and challenging for EDG in the regular season for 2nd place, the game quality themselves, the opposition team often blames themselves rather than, you know, giving credit to TOP.
Yeah, I know you were telling me, as you're talking about the dragons, and TOP will prioritize them pretty much regardless of elements as well.
Yeah.
They're like the garbage collectors of dragons. You know? Like typically a team would look at a Cloud Dragon and be like, nah. But TOP are like, a Cloud Dragon, get me in that. You know, like doesn't matter what it's going to be, they will prioritize it.
You know, one thing I'll say is if you're ever going to be prioritizing Cloud Dragon, this could be your game. Movement speed added to Alistar, Swain, Rise, and a little bit of Gragas. It's going to be nice. I want to point out, It's 8.16, so Electrocute actually got nerfed.
Yep.
I'm wondering why XX went towards the Electrocute instead of the much more popular Predator. That would make a lot more sense with the gank he's been looking for.
Ooh, top lane already caught by herself. Great Fan's got its edge though, jumps back towards the bush and actually hides the Shen teleporting in. Buys a lot of time, flashes away. Here comes Hacker. Yoon body blocking right now and misses the claw. Yoon has to flash away from this one. Xiao teleports into the play and no one dies.
A lot of teleports, but TOP are still very strong and they have a massive wave here that they're going to be able to take the top lane outer turret with.
Yeah, but they are
big
missing
scary bird.
multiple ultimates. I don't think they can continue this push, and it was a bit of a missed opportunity from TOP.
Yes.
I felt like they had the correct play, but two crucial CC chains not missing right there, the never move not landing and the cask not landing, really did give Angel a lot of time to outplay.
Very clearly they wanted more. They wanted to be able to get a kill worth their trouble, and they would have still gotten the tower regardless because the setup for the play was strong. Here comes the Realm Warp. They're looking for the Vladimir.
3-man collapse onto the Vlad, down into the Sanguine Pool, instantly knocked back, instantly CC'd. There's the chain we were looking for.
That'll do it, and we know TOP to be an early Baron team might not be possible with the composition that they have, but they're going to have to do something. They're losing mid lane turret and the Cloud Dragon.
Yeah, I don't think that was a favorable trade for TOP, and you can look at Suning Gaming. They're actually pinging the question marks, like, why did they do a 3-man? That doesn't make any sense. So Suning Gaming, even though they give over Xiao, they actually win out. They take the mid lane tower, and they take the Drake as well.
It's your point about them being a little bit more methodical. A team that recognizes if they lose on the top side of the map, that they are in position to get a lot more on the bot side. So, as you mentioned, 3-man play top side, Xiao takes the brunt of it. In the past, he's taken the brunt of that pressure, but nothing has been happening on the opposite end. This time around, Suning get quite a lot, and now roll the dice for the next dragon. It's going to be an Earth Dragon.
And you could tell Xiao was doing a lot of calculations in his head because he could have flashed during the pool, decides to hold onto it. It doesn't matter. This play, even if it fails for me, it works out for my team. So I can continue in this and just give up my life.
Yeah, very tempered and very measured coming out from Suning Gaming. That's the biggest thing out of these plays, and it just seems like not necessarily desperation right now from TOP. They're definitely trying to just stall out Suning Gaming because they want to get later, get to those team fights, of course. But you know, Suning Gaming continuing to pick up advantages, now around 3,000 gold ahead. Dragons even, but taking that mid lane tower going to be big for them. TOP are actually setting up themselves for a counter push though.
TOP have gotten in a good position. Take a look at where Hacker and the Vladimir is. Hacker and Shallow are bot side, and it was mostly because Rise got a good push there, just because he's got his Seraph's Embrace. In fact, even Chocho got his Zonias, so they were able to get to the mid lane first off of the bottom lane push, and they are challenging Suning Gaming to a fight that they technically cannot take because of the item advantage that they have.
Yeah, but Suning Gaming, they should also be looking to push the game forward and really step on their advantages so far. They are had a very healthy about 3K advantage, but I don't think it's necessary, not enough for them to feel confident. And Suning, after 25 minutes, their gold leads actually drop off. So that's not a situation where they want to see. They don't want to take the scaling option and go late game head-to-head with TOP.
They just simply don't have a way to start the fights. You can say Hacker, but he's not really confident about that, not having a stopwatch himself. Once he finishes up Trinity Force and gets a stopwatch, because he's going to be going into the Guardian Angel next, then you're going to be seeing a lot more action out of him personally. But as someone that has the bulk of the gold from Suning Gaming, going in such a, I would say, a looped around build, something that requires a lot, it's going to be unfortunate.
Here comes Cat. Sustain already being used right here, but we'll be able to get the slowdown. Misses the Vanguard's edge. Misses the Fibion Death. Does manage to get the duet down. And here's Hacker. Stalling time gets the triple knockback right there. And Yoon here with the help. XX moving towards the top lane. They do manage to bail him up. Now look towards Cat. Flash forwards. Double knockup. And Hacker died before he hits the ground. In comes Shower from the backlines. And Bullet Time splits up the fight. Lies pushing forwards. Misses it the same. Once again, lots of skill shot missed. But here comes the round mob. Right into the middle. Again, a great duet.
There we go. But you know, that's TOP. 5-man strong on the top side. And the person that I said was going to be fragile just popped. Hacker, 20-second death timer because he found himself in the thick of things.
Yeah, and definitely TOP are extending this mid-game situation by being the ones going on the front foot. This is what we were talking about. Team play is very important for TOP, and with the jungler down, that opens them up straight towards the Baron.
What is going on here? XX has no HP.
Close. Yeah, down to about half, but turning on towards Yoon right here. Fury is taking out that ward and TOP, and a bit of a choke point right here as Xiao Ao is closing in.
They've swapped sides. Hacker has his Trinity Force completed, and XX needs to base here. So now Suning Gaming, they're not feeling it in terms of starting on the Baron buff and forcing TOP in a bad position. That's a little bit too respectful, but at least they can get a full clear towards the Baron area. So now vision control is now in Sunning's favor.
To find the favorable backing, and I think getting a fight set up in these corridors is so important for Suning Gaming. If it's a jungle fight, they can close off the entire area with the ultimate coming from Angel, and you have Fury standing behind you. So for TOP to check, it's actually going to have to come from mid lane. They're probably going to have to loop around and try to find the flanks on Suning Gaming if they do entrench themselves in this area.
For now, though, Baron not going over to either team. But I know what both of you said to me earlier just make me nervous over Baron being the point of contention for this matchup.
Oh, yeah. Expect one, one of my bets. I already lost one bet. We all lost.
I mean, we all lost. That's why we're here.
Another bet, maybe I get a wig on top of a wig, is that there's going to be a Baron stolen. I already, threw out my fancy-pantsy, Baron stolen stat.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Between both of these teams, where Suning Gaming at times can be a little bit too scared around playing around Baron in pressure situations, and TOP can be a little bit too trigger happy. So both these teams are going to be in position. XX will take gambles. Same with Hacker. They're very similar type of players.
Yep, TOP, formerly known as Dan Gaming, their big trick was the 20-minute Baron.
Yes,
they would always try to go for it, and that still is a bit of a legacy play on their team. We've seen it multiple times throughout the regular split, where they would just do things that we would consider impossible.
Yeah, I would say partially that may have been BSYY, but here's Lies in the bottom lane getting chased down. Sangwoo Pool with the slow as well, following up with the Shadow Dash coming in. Drops him low, will be the ultimatum on top of him as well. Lies should be going down here, but he's managed to survive for so long. Purge comes up once again. There we go, it will be a kill. Now moving towards the Baron.
There we go, TP's coming through. Angel is good enough to be walking up. That's where you gotta have to get out of
bullet
here.
time coming across. Vanguard's edge is good as well. In comes Angel right into the midst of the fight. Gets the first kill onto Can. Angel kiting through the fight, but he's taking damage from Baron. Flash to the wall. XX low. He sees him in his sight, trying to get in range with that Blade Surge. And in comes Hacker. Tries to move with them. There's massive damage coming in from Chocho. The Force Lightning is good. Hacker follows through once again on the Vanguard's edge. We'll be going to get another kill. Shout out with that one onto Korn.
They're not going to look for the Baron. They were way too low, but the setup was there from Suning Gaming. They had the exit strategy. Knowing that they're sending 3 people bottom lane, they're like, we have Misfortune topside. We have Angel who's going to be able to walk up and provide space for her. So excellently done. They got the kill bot side and were able to make the team fight topside happen.
Yeah, it was definitely a great play from Suning Gaming. I think Angel with the zoning ultimate was so good. He set up Fury to be able to use his full bullet time without interruption coming out from XX. And when XX finally used the cast, he actually missed everything.
Yep. It's only going to get worse here for TOP. Now that the Trinity Force is going to be completed, Hacker is going to look to base to get his rest of his item. But take a look at this fight that we're setting up here. Angel's walking up forward. There is no way for TOP to get out of the pit once Vanguard's edge gets used. So excellent setup that was started by Angel and was completed by Fury.
Yeah, it was also a really good timing on Hacker going in. He does miss this first stun, but is point perfect on the second stun that he does land on that hook shot, catching Chocho right out of the Zhonya's and able to prevent Shaolin from going down as well.
It's definitely a little bit messy right there. You see all that damage coming out of that Swain through that fight, and that's the thing with sustained damage mazes. If you manage to get into a long, prolonged team fight, they will start to rack up the damage, and they just straight up out-damage everybody else on Suning.
Yeah, 4,000 damage on that Swain alone. You really have to question if they could use their ultimates together. I feel like TOP could actually blast Misfortune forward and have a very easy kill onto Suning. And that's the special thing about Suning's bot lane, is that a lot of times they do play more for utility. Fury himself is not much of a kiting type of AD carry where you see him in extended fights.
That's why you have to look towards XX with a closer eye. Obviously, he hasn't been having a good first 29 minutes, but the next is going to be important because Fury channeling ulti. There are 2 ways you can go about it. Either just be lazy throughout your cast, so whenever he channels it, he's not going to be as impactful as he was in the last team fight. Or just try and hit the proper one so you'd send him spiraling into your own team. Either way works. That will negate a lot of the damage that Suning Gaming are going to be able to dish. There are a lot of damage sources Suning Gaming have. You just can't afford to be that low based off Fury's ultimate alone.
So far, XX has been 0 for 3 on his cast. You think about the first blood that the second blood where he was killed in his own jungle. Really didn't time that well. That fight right there in the Baron didn't manage to hit it, and the catcher in the top lane didn't manage to hit his ultimate. So I feel like maybe XX isn't as comfortable on the Gragas so far. He's been much more of a Graves and Talia player, but in 8.16, you have to master this champion.
It's definitely unfortunate. Speaking of XX getting caught up on the top side, the rest of the team is trying to move into this one, but Chocho and Cat also getting caught down. He is low. This is the perfect timing here, but in comes the Vladimir. Has to kite back from this one with the Sanguine Pull. He's taking so much damage from that one. Tides of Blood coming across. It just completely obliterates the lineup of TOP, but lies. He's in the middle of 4 people. It's taking a long time to kill this guy. Fear Beyond definitely managed to survive at the last second. In comes Hacker chasing down Korn. Again, he's got a last second. Zonya's coming through, and Korn finally finished off. Gives him the thumbs up. That's going to be the 5-for-1 ace coming in for SNG.
It just happens way too quickly. You don't even look at your own pockets to see if someone else has a stopwatch. So Suning Gaming all diving in, outplaying the TOP team fight there. So excellently done, and they have the members here for the Baron buff.
And the big thing about that fight was the setup. Suning Gaming was able to split apart TOP's 5v5 composition. They had the Gragas on the left side. They had the Korn, I believe, as well on the left side. So even though with Fury going down first, they had a position where their damage dealers could collapse on the members of TOP afterwards and take out most of the members.
So take a look at this, because XX was the first one that got caught. He didn't have anyone to follow up here. He used his E to just jump on towards Angel. Angel got a lot of resources just out of that one alone. So XX, think of him as out of the fight before it even starts. So it was chaotic, as you can see. The rest of the members came in on the flank, what was happening on the right side, while they were trying to defend. XX
last second.
I love it. I love it.
The anti-execution gets the golden medalist move as well. Celebration for Asian Games.
There you go. Yeah, I believe he just got tagged in the end. That was critical timing coming in from Hacker. But yeah, been unfortunate setups for these team fights, honestly, because we saw it in the damage graphs. The damage is there from TOP. You know, they got to the point with those mages doing the damage, but everyone's dying or get out of the fight before they can even get into this. Then Chao just drifts on by and hits everybody with a Tides of Blood.
The damage is there for TOP if they have the setup. That's what's crucial here. There's so much setup based off the Swain, Alistar, and Ryze alone. If they can get a pick, then they can make it happen. We saw how much Chocho damage is coming across because he was able to just walk forward because he had the positioning. But when it's not afforded to them, the raw damage coming out of Suning Gaming that lacks setup is what comes out ahead. They're much more tankier now than they were before. Stoic Gage there for Aurelia, and the Guardian Angel completed here by Hacker. So you have to make it worthwhile if you're TOP.
For TOP, they're more of a slow and dumb team. I think.
Wait a second.
Well, they're dumb in the sense that they're not agile. They have a very hard time of actually getting into the fights.
Yeah,
clunky. And Suning are using their mobility to really run circles around TOP. Now, the best situation for TOP is actually just to scale later, wait for the Baron to fall down, and then set themselves up on top of an objective. That's the perfect scenario that they want to engage in.
I'm just saying, Raz, you wouldn't call the Juggernaut an intelligent man, but boy, can he hit hard, you know, when he gets rolling.
Big, smart people, all right? I'm fighting for the big guys out there.
This one isn't one of them. SNG, though, in the bottom side, just trying to hit away at this tower. TOP, good defense, though. They actually got here first before the managed to clear out the wave that was coming in, but Suning Gaming is setting up in 2 waves with the Baron buff, and they have a massive wave building on top side.
The massive wave top side is what's important. The fact that they have a 1-3-1, and they recognize that the wave is so good top lane, they can just tag team mid lane, puts TOP in such a bad position that this game can end really early on now that Suning Gaming has a 5v5 accessible.
Korn managed to get here, though. No one actually decides to support it and buff up those minions, so wave goes down. However, can they actually get the numbers advantage in the bottom side here, Suning Gaming? Yes, they can. So the tower does fall. Hacker chasing down Light, but just managed to escape with the disdain there.
And the fact that Vladimir has Rabadon's death cap, his auto attacks do a lot of damage to the towers now. You can't just look to the AP opposition and say that we can leave you by the turrets. So Ryze going top lane gave the key to Suning Gaming in the bottom lane.
I think we are going to see a re-engage coming out from TOP pretty soon. They do have the fully stacked Spellbinders onto Korn right now, and if they do find an opportunity where Suning are doing the 2-3 split like they were just a while ago, they might decide to go in. Unfortunately, Suning just back out before anything really happens.
There's just no respect now for TOP's lineup. There's enough items underneath Suning Gaming that they have the magic resist to deal with Korn, XX, and Chocho. What are you going to be looking out of AD here? Lies? Not enough for an Urgot to be picking up your brunt of the damage here. So TOP, time's up. You have to look for something special. Maybe there's Miracle here on 34th Street. It's pretty damn far away from Christmas. You need to find something.
I think you just have to kill Fury right off the bat. That should be the easiest target that they're looking for. Never move. A cast could really do it. But like you said, if that doesn't happen, then even a 5v5 should favor Suning at this point.
I mean, the setup's got to be there as well, right? Because I think we had a great example of them getting a kill onto Fury very early on in the mid lane, but they still lost it in tremendous fashion. So they need the setup there. They need 5 people to actually be able to end the fight and not just be a 2 versus 3 for the majority of it.
They want to be the meat grinder team composition. That's what they want. But the question is, how do you get the 5-man straight on top of the enemy backline?
I mean, it's tough when we have an Urgot. You know, he just has to scuttle slowly towards the enemy team. And like, if you could stay in position for the next 10 seconds, that would be fantastic.
And so this is kind of confirming a lot of the realizations people have had coming into the playoffs is Eastern Conference versus Western Conference. Sure, TOP has that 1-point advantage, but Suning Gaming should just, from the skill, the VODs that you've seen, be the stronger team. TOP had a lot to prove, and the last time they faced TOP won 2-1, but throughout the entire year, they've been losing series after series versus Suning Gaming. Suning Gaming has been much better than them in the head-to-head matchup. So TOP had more to prove, but they're not starting out on the right foot.
I mean, for sure.
And there is a lot of potential for both of these teams. Whoever wins this set will break their own playoff record. They've only been in the first round so far, so there is a lot at stake right here. TOP, breakout season. If they move forward, they change the perception of the entire league for them. Suning Gaming, they missed out in spring. If they can do it, they finally prove that they are a middle-of-the-pack team.
Someone gets to win big here. It will be one of these teams. You said 1-point advantage already to TOP, but Suning Gaming looks spectacular coming out into this first game. You know, we said in ways this is actually a semi-risky composition to run because you have to get ahead in the early portion of the game. And for a long time, it was only like a 2,000 advantage up until like the 20-25 minute mark. But they've only increased their advantage. There's never been a time where they've really majorly slipped up.
It is great from Suning Gaming that you saw the patience coming out of them. The fact that Hacker didn't go towards a more aggressive team fighting build that I was referring to, and that he's willing to go the longer route for Trinity Force, means that he was confident that his team wouldn't lose that advantage. And that just simply hasn't happened. So going up against this composition, that anybody can get picked off at any point. Fury has been on the back end on a few Cho-Cho-Es, but it hasn't netted any advantage, is great for Suning Gaming for the series.
Yeah, I feel like TOP did miss a couple of their windows. They did have a good teamfight compositions, but no Drakes to really contest. And throughout the early game, Suning Gaming either had the lead or they were just simply trading objectives. So TOP couldn't really find the fight condition to propel their composition. And when it does come to the late game, like you said, the damage composition is a bit off.
And this is a new face to XX, someone who has wanted to be able to look for the better jungle matchup, who wants to be able to invade pretty heavily, not be on the back foot, or else his team would fall behind. This is one of those examples where he's not been the one pressing the advantage. He's had the bad jungle matchup, and he paid the price early on. If you look towards the next game, sure, they have that buffer of that 1-point advantage that they have for themselves. That's a lesson that they learn going forward.
Push into the mid lane. Playing a bit of an ARAM, but there is an ambush from the left-hand side here is XX and Korn. Look for this, Cat in from the bottom side. They are trying to initiate this fight. They realize that they have to strike right now. Not going to get a better opportunity, really, but this will be them engaging instead of getting caught. That'll be the major difference. The Suning Gaming just back away, playing with the ebb and flow of the minion wave, and TOP just can't really find a way into this, and there's a massive minion wave building in the bottom side. So Suning Gaming quite happy to stay around here. They find the catch down onto Xiao, who instantly responds with a massive ultimate over the wall. That's Cat immediately dead, and the bullet time sweeps across too. Cho-Cho jumps to the wall, but he's instantly gonna die to Angel. Fury follows up there, and Lies just scuttling away from the fight.
And that was amazing zoning coming out from Hacker. He took Horn completely out of the fight. He had the GA. He was totally willing to do the zoning job. And the go in onto Cat was such a brave move. I don't think a lot of junglers would have actually jumped in right there, but he forced the situation on TOP.
And now they know how much damage Cho-Cho does with full soul fragments. He had full soul fragments. He came out. He popped a few people. HP was noticeable, but if he's the primary form of damage, him and Korn, that's simply not enough.
Yeah, Korn didn't get any area of effect damage down on his rise. He was completely stuck dealing with Hacker on the right side of the fight. So even though TOP had the quote-unquote good engage, I felt like Suning had the much better answer at the start of it.
So something that I'm looking for TOP, they have the Righteous Glory on top for Lies. So they're expecting if they can get one pick, either Xiao out or Fury, that they can try and roll over somebody. They just didn't expect that Cat, with his ultimate pop, took that much damage. And the moment the zone control coming out from both the Camille and Angel is like, all right, we have to back away, leave a few people behind. That was the one fight TOP wanted to see to test the waters, and they lost so much off of it.
Yeah, and you could just see Korn, the frustration, XX the frustration as well going down. They have not managed to stop a single Fury ultimate. He's always been able to full channel all of his damage straight into the front line. And once again, Korn, on the other hand, he did only damage to Hacker. No one else. He was just stuck on that right side.
It just shows that a change in responsibility for XX. Earlier on, maybe if it's an even game, you can throw out your cast to get an interruption onto Fury. But now that doesn't make sense because you are needed. Your cast is needed to make the play happen to get someone else. Maybe if you get the first pick on towards Fury, excellent, you can get the kill on him. But they use that to get onto Xiao Al. There's so much damage here. Maybe they're looking for a second fight.
This is really last chance saloons. They immediately open this one up. His absolute scatterers again. The Fortunate comes across, manages to secure the Elder Dragon. Instant kill down onto the Alistair. Xiao kiting back, takes down Lies, and Suning Gaming without a single casualty. Take the Dragon, take 3, jump on towards the Xiao Dash flash, and it gives access for Angel into that backline. Korn's dead. Clean sweep. And Suning Gaming are looking to end this right here.
Just wave the white flag, don't you? There's so much mobility that Hacker and Angel can chase you down. You would expect that one to be the game. They have so much damage, and they have the minions to follow them.
The last-ditch effort coming in from TOP, but I don't think they were coordinated on who was going to take the Realm Orb into the battlefield. They actually had 2 damage dealers standing right on top of the ramp, and Angel himself was able to zone out the entire composition. So pretty questionable last attempt coming in from TOP.
But Suning Gaming, without missing a single beat in that game, will take game 1 here, and it's now 1-1 in points.
So we expected the result for Suning Gaming to even it up rather quickly. It was just surprising that TOP fell over that fast. They wanted to come in, at least nullify any early playing field, any early advantages that Suning Gaming would come out with the composition. I like TOP's comp. I thought it was very smart that it was drafted in the case. And you can tell that they had run a few practice run and scrims with it. But it was just unfortunate that really early on, Hacker having the first gank on towards to the Rise was such a large impact that snowballed the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that XX really fell down way too early. 2 straight kills off the door. Urgot is no longer able to push his advantage in the top lane. That is considered a counter matchup into the Vladimir that Xiao had to walk into, but they couldn't make anything out of that lane, and their game plan was out the window.
Yeah, it just collapsed across the board, and then it's like, okay, guys, we can stall, we can wait for team fights, and it's like, well, that's where the composition really comes into its own, right? It's because you can actually have a safety net as the game goes on, but then progressively Suning keep picking up advances in these skirmishes and these rotations, pretty much just doing a Suning game. The amount of times I saw them just sit in the brush and someone just walks on by into the brush, and it's like, well, I guess that's a kill or 3, and then we'll take an advantage of it.
And I was quite impressed by the way Suning handled their 5v5s. They're not really known as a big team fighting team. If you look at their record, they dropped to WE, BLG, TOP, and Snake. And the reason for that is that they're not very good in the late game 5v5, but they use the mobility so well to get their picks. They stay true to their style, but they put it on a micro scale where they could find those 1 or 2 initial first bloods and then swipe up the rest of the team.
And in this game, I think that Angel and say Xiao a little bit understood their roles there. Hacker had a very good game, so we'll have to see in the next game if Hacker can continue to do that. We'll have not having an obscure, a ridiculous lead. But I thought Angel played well, starting out the fights and setting up Misfortune for her ultis numerous times.
Yeah, but it always set up in a good way because it seemed like either they managed to get the immediate pick onto someone like XX or anybody on TOP. I don't think there was a single time in that entire game I saw a straight 5-on-5 fight. It was actually just maybe a 3-on-5, and then another member would come in at the very end of it, and it's like, okay, now the numbers are even, but you've just lost your mid lane or you've lost your bottom laner.
Yeah, I think it's just because this team, TOP that is, when they find themselves in a deficit, they try and ram something to get an advantage. They could actually stay a little bit towards their first, because they're finding windows to come back into the game, but they already had tried to ram in a few more plays that they lost, that just based off that desperation, they were even more farther down in the gold pit. So this team could be a little bit more patient.
Yeah.
Their average loss time is actually fairly fast too, because they either win quickly or lose quickly. That's how TOP rolls.
When you don't have a good early game, it either kabooms or you have to stall it out. So I can understand losing early right there, but I agree that their composition did have chances to come back. They just never really found the big 5v5 that they were looking for.
And then looking towards those fights, we actually have the Baron replay to actually pull up here. And again, these two teams at the bottom in terms of Baron security secured. I mean, they don't have a good time around Baron, but this Misfortune ultimate was mint.
And it was set up by Angel's Vanguard Sedge. So the fact that he sent out that ulti just sent everyone inside of the pit was an immediate loss from TOP. There's no way for them to regain the edge. So XX staying around the fight, not much you can do. I think that's a lot of what XX is doing this game, because if you start off on a bad foot, he didn't want to leave and go back to the base, but at that point, it's a loss.
Yeah, and I do agree with you right there. I felt like the positioning on that Baron fight was a little bit weird. They should have had some zoning members like straight outside who could at least challenge the bullet time coming out. If Swain was a little bit further, he could have used the never move, or XX a little bit further. But the positioning was way too clumped up and way too far backwards.
Yeah, it also allowed access for those flankers like the Aurelia and Hacker as well to come in there. I'm getting super distracted by Raz, but we should never give him a wig again. But let's take a look at our MVP. It's going to be Hacker in the jungle, setting up the team for success.
Just take a look at him, just pointing at his big old noggin. That's what happened early on in the game. I already paid homage to the fact that he was patient early on, held on to his flash, looking for a second play, was persistent, and it was really hitting XX nerves. He didn't understand how to play him behind. And so Hacker took advantage of that. Excellent game from him.
Yeah, I mean, he honestly just made XX look like a chump. For all we were saying that XX looking great in this split, building up the team, really didn't see anything out of that game because it was shut down there by Hacker. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll be coming in for game number 2.
苏宁队员不会为遗憾找借口，必须变强，必须进步。